Hey, what's up, you sexy bitches, and welcome to today's Weekly D. Today I'm interviewing Kristy Sellars. Kristy is well known for winning the Australia's Got Talent competition and is also recently well known for being on America's Got Talent. We talked to her about her experiences with the Got Talent Corporation. We also talked to her about all of her business experience, her upcoming business ventures, as well as her life. We talk about manifestation. We talk about positive mindset. Oh, honey, this is an episode that you just cannot miss out on. So, without further ado, I hope you enjoy the episode. And this is the Weekly D because, honey, if you ain't getting your D on the daily, you better at least be getting it once on the weekly.
Weekly tea. If you're not getting any and you want some tea, then come and join Dan up on the Weekly tea. It's the Weekly tea.
Kristy, well, I was going to say good morning, but it's not good morning for you. It's good evening. It's 6 p.m. there. How are you?
Yes, good evening and good morning to you. I'm very
Yeah,
well. Wrapping up the
good.
day with yourself?
How are things? How have things been? You've been crazy busy recently, right? With all the AGT stuff. I don't know, by the way, how much of this you can tell us, because I know obviously I'm probably told that you can't tell us a load of stuff, but I know that you've been very busy with America's Got Talent. How has that been? Has it been fun?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know how it is when you're creating and it's a bit of a stressful process and then you push to make something new, but then it's fun and it's stressful and I love it and I hate it and it's great.
Well, I
So,
definitely want to talk to you about like the AGT experience. Obviously, I know there's probably some stuff that you can't tell us, but the stuff that you can tell us, I want to try and get into if we can. But
mhm.
before we start, one of the main reasons, obviously, I wanted you on the podcast is because you are an entrepreneur that I've followed, obviously, for a very long time. I've known you before you really even started any of your businesses. I knew you when you had your studio, but obviously,
Mhm.
since then, you've started lots of different business ventures. So I wanted to talk to you about that. But before we talk about that, I feel like it's super important for people to know sort of like where it all began. So can you just give us like a brief overview of where it all started for you? Like where were you born? Parents, do they have their own businesses? Anything like that?
Yeah, sure. So I was born in Warrnambool, which is a town in Victoria. It's quite a small town. It's got about
Okay.
30,000 people. My parents had a small like food van business
Okay.
when I was growing up. So that was kind of my first like exposure to business. And back in the days when cash was everything and dad would like bring home these massive bags of like 5 cent pieces or like 1 pen or whatever it is for you guys and we would get paid like $2 to count them out and like it took us
Yeah,
hours and we were getting like $2.
yeah.
So that was fun, but it did kind of like we did get to see that growing up, which was really cool. And then I think it was just always something that was in me because even when I was younger, before I even did pole, I was always just kind of taking things that I loved to do and finding ways to share that with other people that financially rewarded me as well so that I could keep doing that.
hmm
So for me, it was always a goal of like bringing together the passion and also being able to have enough financial, compensation from that so that it could be the main thing that I was doing rather than having the passion on the side and like a day job on the other side. So
Right.
that was always a focus of mine, even when I was like 16, 17. I wanted to be able to support myself just by like teaching dance classes and stuff like that. And then,
Because
yeah, and then
dance was
I,
obviously like an entry for you, was it? So dance was first, because
yeah.
obviously those people who already follow you and they've seen your TikToks, they know that you're obviously a very talented dancer. So it's so clear that dance was like a first step for you. What age did you start dancing?
Well, I did start when I was very young, but I was not very I didn't do what I was told very much. I was in a tap class and I just slid around the floor because I didn't have tap shoes, and so Mum took me out of dance. That was about a 3-week experience when I was a child, but I probably got back into it when I was about 12, which was really late, but it was always there. Like, even when we would have school concerts and the teachers would be like, okay, so we need an idea for this. And I'd be like, oh, I have an idea. Like, we could do this. And I just really, really enjoyed it. So, yeah, probably got back into it about 12, but I only did hip hop. I didn't do any of the classical side of things until I was 16, and I applied to do a full-time performing arts course instead of the last 2 years of high school. So I did that instead of, which
Okay.
kind of kickstarted me and gave me like a really, really good start in all different styles, and like not just your regular styles, but like other styles as well, like Chinese fan dancing and just random stuff.
Okay. Really
Yeah, it was
random.
really
Love
fun.
that.
Yeah, it was really cool, like, just to have the experience of other things and really sort of feel out what I liked. So I was in the habit, since I finished that when I was 18, of just trying everything
Yeah.
because of the course. And if there was, like fire twirling or like a new style of dance that I hadn't tried, I would always like put my hand up and try to be there and learn it, because I felt like everything just helped me to progress. So I saw, an ad in the paper, I think, for pole dancing. This is 15 years ago now.
And this
And
was in Victoria where you lived at the time,
yeah, yeah.
or okay.
Yeah, yeah. It was just an ad for this girl who was like teaching out of her garage. And I
Oh
went,
no.
it
So
was
funny.
like, it was so bad, but it was so good. And I loved it. It was so good.
Isn't it
And I
crazy
was
to
like,
think like how far pole has come? Like I don't know of any like garage sort of like pole studios anymore
yeah,
because the
yeah.
bar has just been raised so much, hasn't it? So
Oh, yeah.
you're still living in Victoria in that town that you were telling me about, or you don't live there
Uh,
anymore?
No, that's 2 hours away, but I go there often because my family is there as well. But I'm 2 hours away in Ballarat.
Okay, cool. And
Mm.
so how long have you lived in Ballarat for? What did you move to Ballarat for? Did you go there for university or something or anything like this?
No, no, I opened a studio here. So I
Okay.
opened one. Yeah, I was teaching dance already, and then I was doing pole for a couple of years, and then I was like, oh, well, I teach dance. I really enjoy pole. Like, let's put these together. And so I opened a studio in Warrnambool, but I was living 3 hours away in Melbourne, which meant every week I was driving back and forward and setting up like basically a pop-up studio on the weekends. And then
Wow.
eventually I got enough interest, and one of my students was like, you should open one in Ballarat. And I was like, okay. So then I opened a studio here in Ballarat, and I was traveling, like, Ballarat's only an hour from Melbourne. So I was doing an hour that way, 3 hours the other way, in like this triangle sort of thing. And the Ballarat studio really started to take off. So I decided to move here from Melbourne. So I've been here ever since, which was probably Fizzy Pole is like 13 years old. So I've been here for about 12 years.
I was just about to ask you about that actually. So Fizzy Pole was your first
Mm.
ever business you ever started? That was the first one.
Um, I had a costume shop when I was younger.
Oh,
Again, like,
okay. How old were you
yeah,
at the
like a little.
time?
I think I was like 19. It's just
Oh,
like a costume
wow.
hire and dance shoe shop, because I taught so many students, like
Uh-huh.
kids, dance, and they would come in to get their costumes and their shoes, and it was like a good kind of combination.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but I wasn't very good at it.
Well, do you feel like you learned something from that initial experience of that business? Like, do you feel like you learned something from it, which then made Physical as successful as it has been?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I feel like when I started Physipol, it wasn't, then what it is now. It wasn't 5 years ago what it is now. It keeps evolving and it keeps getting better based on the experiences that I have, and I'm sure that everyone else has when you're in business over a long period of time. Like, you take those experiences and you better yourself for, what you're doing next.
So, what age were you when you started PhysiPulse? You were 19 when you started your first ever business. Sorry, I love asking about the ages because I find it really intriguing to know when people's kind of business journey started. Because
Yeah.
mine started definitely later than 19, but
Yeah.
I always find it intriguing to know sort of what age people started to see if there's any sort of connection with that. So, you're 19 with your first business, but PhysiPole, how old were you when that started?
Yeah. Well, 13 years ago, so I would have been 23.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it wasn't actually that much longer afterwards. And how many
No,
studios
yeah.
have you got
Yeah.
now?
There are 17.
17 studios. What? And they're all in the same area, or are they all over Australia?
No, no, they're in 5 states across Australia.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So, and
Yeah.
obviously, like for those listening, this is literally just like one part of what Kristy does as well, because obviously you have so many other businesses. But before we go into those businesses, because I have so many questions on them, I wanted to ask, do you have someone obviously in your family that really helped you with the entrepreneurial side? Like, was it your dad? Because obviously you had this business. Like, did anyone really push you to be like, yeah, start a business, or you should, have
No.
a company, or no?
No, no, no. It was just in my blood, I would say.
So
It,
where do you think that actually
always.
comes from then in people? Because obviously if you didn't have, so for me, I have a dad who has his own business. So I feel like I always saw him doing quite well from his own business, and that kind of
Yeah.
inspired me. So where do you think, if it didn't come from someone close to you, what was there an experience or something that happened to you that was like, right, I want to do this because I want to, is it just a personality trait where you want to manage your own thing? You don't want to be managed by other people? I'm really intrigued by that.
Um, I think for me it comes from the ideas, like the
Hmm.
want to share something with people. It doesn't really come from, like, if I wanted to make money, I wouldn't have gone into owning a pole studio.
Of course,
So
yeah, of
there's
course.
that. But yeah, I think it's just like, I know back then I knew my strength was explaining things well to people that didn't know how to do them. So whether, like, teaching was something that I just was very natural at. Even when I was in my teens, I would teach like swimming lessons and things like that, other activities that I was doing to lower level, like beginners or whoever, that was coming into that activity, because I just seemed to have a way of doing that. And so teaching classes was something, like teaching dance. I I don't even know when I started doing that, maybe 14 or something. It just kind of carried through. And then opening the studio, I guess I just did that because there was nothing in the town at all. And I
Available.
was like, oh, I should bring it to there. I didn't really think about it in the way of like, I should own a business. And it's the
Right.
same even now. I don't start businesses for the sake of starting businesses. I don't need to anymore, which is amazing. It's more just like I have an idea and I want to share it with people, and that's where it comes from.
Right, fair
Yeah.
enough. I totally get you. So obviously you have the studios, which is, would you say the studios are the main majority of what you do, the studio side?
Well, it's a franchise now. So
Oh,
I
okay.
obviously so I founded the franchise. I only half own the Ballarat location with Celeste, another one of the franchisees.
Okay.
So yeah, I still kind of oversee and manage the entire franchise, but I have over the years built up a really, really good head office team that work full
Okay.
time to give the franchisees everything that they need. So they've got someone in charge of like operations, and then they've got someone in charge
Hmm.
of social media, or like anything that they need. There's 4 people in charge of like syllabus updates, just making sure the videos are up to date.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So it's a pretty big family then. How many staff are actually working for PhysiPal at the moment?
Oh,
There's a
I
question.
don't know. Maybe maybe like, I don't know, 150 or so.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Oh, like
So,
in all of the, yeah, across the whole board, yeah. But it's definitely, like, I used to be working on the franchise all day every day, but I did invest like a while ago in basically an online platform that would get everything that was in my head onto a platform that was available to everyone who was working for Physipol in any capacity, and they would have different tiered access depending on what they did so that they could access what they needed to do their job. So that means
Yeah.
if you're an instructor, you can access all of your class, like your lesson plans, all of the certificates for the students, all of the assessment cards, everything like that. So I do I do a lot less for the franchise now because over time I put those things in place. Otherwise I'd be a mess.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I
Yeah.
bet it's a nightmare. And then obviously after the studio, the next business was, am I correct in thinking it was Envirogrip?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I did have other ideas over the years, but it took me, yeah, well, it was 11 years later because Envirogrip's just over 2 years old now. So I really sort of stayed focused on just the franchise to make sure that it was in a place where it didn't need me all the time. Businesses are
Right.
kind of like kids when they're toddlers, they need you a lot.
Yeah,
Like when
they
they're
really do.
newborns, they need you the most. And then, Physipol is becoming like a teenager now, so it can kind of get by,
Sure.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
And with Envirogrip, sort of when you thought of that idea, did that, I'm just making a wild guess here. I'm assuming was
Yeah.
that basically, did that idea come to fruition because of the dry hands drought, should we call it? Was it because of the issue that we were all having trying to get hold of dry hands? Did you think, well, do you know
Yeah.
what? We need a product to replace this, so I'm going to create one.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went, except it was my partner, Sam, who he was like, because obviously we've got so many studios and head office, like we're trying to make sure that the studios have access to suppliers that are reliable and good. Um, yeah, and this, as you know, it was just like a pain in the ass. And
Yeah,
then, yeah, my partner was like, so why don't we just make our own? And I was like, can we do that? Like,
yeah,
can we do that? And so that, yeah, so we went down the path of like finding a team of chemists, and then we started developing a formula like from scratch, not like the same idea of like a liquid chalk, but it's obviously not the same product as dry hands. But yeah, a product that would do what we needed it to do. We went through all the testing and everything. And then when it came time to packaging it, I was very conscious of how many single-use plastic bottles I was seeing go through all of the studios over all of the years. And I was, obviously that's a much bigger scale when you think about how many studios there are worldwide.
right.
Now, Envirogrip isn't in all of those studios, but what we can do is sort of make a difference and have that packaging in something biodegradable. So that tube part of it, well, it's just behind me
The
here on the
bottom
shelf.
part, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I can see them.
the green,
The
yeah,
green
so the
part,
green
right?
part, yeah, the green
But
part is
the lid isn't, is
no,
it?
the
That
lid
is,
is just plastic, it's just recyclable, but
yeah.
the tube is biodegradable. So that will break down in 6 to 10 years as opposed to 450.
Wow, that's crazy. And with the lid, so
Yeah.
why couldn't they make the lid in the?
Uh,
It's not possible
yeah.
to make lids and stuff like with the moving parts or whatever.
I think it's possible, but even to do the tube was kind of groundbreaking. Like we had to get the biodegradable additive in from America because there's only 2 places in the world that made it, and then get it shipped to where the tubes were getting made to have it added in and then sent to us from there. Because
Oh wow.
when we started, we had all the tubes being filled and sealed in Melbourne, like an hour
Right.
away. And then that process, that company, it was very difficult. And so we decided to invest in the equipment ourselves, which you've probably seen on some of the social media. So now we actually fill and seal it in-house here in Ballarat. So that's pretty cool
Okay.
because it means, so my goal is to have all of those machines just run on solar so that the whole company is like as neutral as it can be.
Nice. Okay. So you have
Yeah.
solar at home?
No. What, like I'm saying, the tubes are getting filled and sealed. I want, because we don't
I
have to
see.
do it that often. Like we can do quite a lot of them in one go. So it shouldn't be too difficult. That's a goal sort of by the end of this year, I would like to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. And then obviously after that, it was the pole shorts that you created. What are they pole shorts called?
Oh, well, it was just like a small collection. It was called the Daintree collection,
Okay, and
named
that's
after the Daintree rainforest here in Australia.
okay. And that's
So,
part of in the Enviroco. So obviously you start Envirogrip
yeah,
and then you decided to have Enviroco, which kind of covers all of your products that you sell, is that correct?
yeah,
And then obviously
yeah.
your
I didn't
last
really
one
think.
was the subscription box, right?
Yeah, so Enviroco, I was like, oh, I'm gonna need a name that's not just about grip, because I was like, I want to do like lots of innovative fitness products. Um, so yeah, that's how the Enviroco came into it, and then Polescription is kind of its own like little tangent off that. So it's a subscription box for pole dancers, featuring a different pole idol each month, and like has things in it to help with training and motivation.
Yeah, nice. I love that.
Yeah,
And how
yeah.
are the businesses doing since like COVID and stuff? How did COVID affect you in
Mm.
terms of business and stuff?
Um, well, the studios, obviously, the Victorian studios were hit the hardest because we were closed over 365 days total
Crazy.
was the closure. Like it was, yeah, it was very, very bad here. People, I think, in Victoria are still mentally recovering because
Yeah.
of what happened. We had 7 lockdowns and it was very it was a hard time. The other studios not as much, but this is sort of the first year that I think at the start of the year everyone was sort of timid, but now people are starting to get back into things and compete and all of that. Obviously, with Envirogrip, that was able to keep running throughout, even though we had, if studios aren't open, there's less people buying grip because they don't need it if they're not
Right.
training. So it was affected, but I found that like because Envirogrip is in 44 countries, it's it was like if Australia was closed, we'd be sending to Canada or like the UK, and then it would they would stop and I'd be sending to Hong Kong, and it was like that business was able to keep running, but it was still affected. It was just that it was interesting to see which countries were yes and then no and then yes and no, like that. Mm.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about, sort of like how and what sort of things you learned from the pandemic. Because I know for me, it was a really odd time for me. Like
Mm.
I mentally dealt with it really badly. I'm very used to having routine. So I don't know whether you're the
Yeah.
same. Like, so when obviously my routine was put out of whack, yeah, it was an intense moment for me, for sure. What do you think you learned from the pandemic? I mean, is there anything that you took away from it? And like, I was speaking to someone yesterday that was saying that, that since the pandemic, they're just so much more chill because they've just realized that life is so short and we just don't know what's going to
Yeah.
happen the next day. And I kind of loved that. I was a bit like, wow, that's actually quite beautiful, really. Did you learn anything
Mm.
from it? Is there anything that you took away from it?
Yeah, I mean, straight away in the first and second lockdowns, I was very much like holding it together for everyone else and making sure that the PhysiPole syllabus, like we did a whole online platform so that it was a different syllabus that could be done at home, like without the poles in the studio and whatnot. But then as they went on, um, it was like the Queensland and other states that were still open were operating as normal, but the Victorian studio owners were really, a lot of them, in a dark place because it was, people just, they weren't allowed to see each other. They weren't allowed to really, everyone got sick of Zoom. I guess it taught me like how to adapt really quickly, which I'm quite good at anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
it just, yeah, I'm quite a mentally strong person, I think, anyway, but it really made me solidify that and work on myself to be even more stronger. And still, yeah, it was an interesting way to like learn about yourself, because for me, if I were listening to the updates every day and that sort of thing, I felt like I was informed and I was like waiting for that news of like a restriction to ease or something. But then after like, I don't know, a year and a half of it, I just stopped listening, and I was like, isn't that interesting? If you put your phone down and you don't open it, the things on there don't actually exist. I mean, like, aside from people coming in and shooting at people, and like some police coming up to you telling you to put your mask on or something, aside from like the actual in-person impact, which there wasn't much of, it was funny how it just kind of disappeared. And it's like what you surround yourself with becomes your actual world. And yeah, it was hard for sure, but yeah, I think I did pretty well through it, considering.
Hey babes, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to quickly come on and tell you about one of our podcast sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by Grip and Glow. Grip and Glow is one of my favorite products, and I'm not just saying that. I truly use this product all the time. This is great for people who actually suffer with dry skin. It gives you that nice sticky feeling. So you know when you're on like a summer's day and your skin feels super sticky and so grippy, like leg hangs are an absolute dream. This product will give you that grip any time of year. So it's an amazing product. I actually personally like to put a bit of dry hands or a similar product onto my legs first and then spray this on top. Oh, makes them perfect, like nice and tacky. Perfect. So go and check out Grip and Glow, and you can actually use my offer code POLOLS10 to get 10% off all your purchases on their website. So go and check out Grip and Glow. Random question and a little bit of a sidestep here. Have you, obviously owning a business and being, I don't like using this word, but a pole celebrity, being a name within the industry and stuff, we are literally under the spotlight when it comes to our industry. So
Mm.
just kind of a yes or no answer first, and then I'm going to go into it a little bit more. But have you ever been cancelled?
I don't think so. No.
So, and when I ask this, I mean, like, have you ever had any sort of like people online hate or people trying to be like, oh, Kristy has done this, blah, blah, blah. This is, this is a problem because of this, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever faced any sort of online hate? So if you've never had someone, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the queen of cancelling. So I've been actually cancelled so many times that I'm now immune from it. I'm like COVID. I've just like built up my strength and now I'm just uncancelable. But like, have
Yeah.
you ever had that sort of like targeted online hate for anything that
Oh,
you've done?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, definitely.
what
There
was it?
was, well, probably the most, I mean, I'm sure people say lots of things, but the one time that probably stuck out the most was when I first, it was when I first performed the projection stuff, and what happened? So the guy that I worked with back then, I found him because I was already playing around with the idea of it, and I found him online, and I was like, "This is what I want to do. I need someone to like create this." And he was basically, at the time, he was like, oh, look, I don't know, like I've got this one already that we could adapt. And then we sort of spoke about that and we like adapted it. But he had uploaded it for like his high school project or something. And so when I performed it, people were like, oh, you copied it, and like da 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 da. It wasn't that at all. It was just that it was the work he had already started, which we discussed together to like expand on it as like an entry
I think
point
I remember
to,
that actually. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
it was like,
because didn't everyone think that you stole it off of someone, and then they realized
yeah,
that
yeah,
actually that was the same person you were working with?
yeah, yeah. So he was like trying to put videos online to explain, and so was I, and people were very quick to be like, oh, and I think the reason is because what I did was groundbreaking. It was like the first time really that someone had put something that, and I don't want to like big note myself or anything, but like it was
No,
a
do
new
it.
way to, it was new for the industry. No one had seen it before. No one had done this before. It was an idea that had been in my mind for 3 years at that point that I had been trying to make happen. And it's freaking hard. And so
Right.
when the first one came about, even that was so difficult. Like the stuff I make now, I just think back, I'm like, Jesus, that was so basic. But at the time, it was so hard because getting your mind around how am I going to make this poll make sense and create like a world that's behind me. And obviously that first one had sort of come from an idea that he'd been working on already. But yeah, that was probably, there was a lot of hate. I think it did teach me a lot about understanding that people when they form an opinion like that, they're only forming it based on like this small information that they have, and then they put their thoughts out there. And back then that was like 2016, so it was pretty brutal. Like everyone liked to make their opinion known, and it did get a lot of focus. And I guess for me it just maybe seemed like a lot more because that I was at the center of it. Whereas
Right.
then you had all these other people just enjoying the show for what it was. And obviously he and I worked together after that. So the issue wasn't that like he was annoyed at me or anything. It was purely that it went up, and it went up too fast, and I hadn't gone through and like worked out all the credits. Like that was the last time. Like every time I do a performance now, I'm like, have I credited like the person who edited the music and like who did the costume and every single element
Yeah.
of it? I'm because straight after the show they were like, we need to put this online, and it went up hours later, and I just hadn't even, that was my stuff up, but it happened.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But exactly, and the thing that I'm intrigued to know is where do you think the hate that people have for things like this comes from? Like, why do you think people care so much enough to be
Um,
like, you stole an idea, blah blah blah? Like, I mean, can we just talk about the fact that ideas are stolen all the damn time? You're
Yeah,
not
it
the
wasn't
first
that though.
person to
Like,
use an already existing idea. Like, so many
yeah,
ideas have already existed. That's like me saying, I'm trying to use an example. Maddie Sparkle just did she do Little Red Riding Hood at Pole
yeah,
Icon this weekend?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
like someone saying to her, that idea has been used before. You have stolen an idea. Can you imagine if someone said that?
yeah,
It's like, listen, these are all ideas. Like, of course they're going to have already existed. We're in a world that's been around for a freaking long time. And the
yeah,
porn industry has been around for a long time. There aren't really many themes that we have left. Do you know what I mean? So I always feel like when people start talking
mm.
about copying and stuff, I'm like, really?
Oh, there's
Like,
nothing new under the sun. Yeah, in
right,
any
exactly.
industry, it is
Exactly.
hard. Um, I don't know. I guess some of it maybe I don't. Since Australia's Got Talent, I had to do a lot of understanding of how people's minds work when they see something like through a screen and form their opinion about it. But I guess like if it's coming from within our own industry, which should be fully supportive of one another, because we're such a small industry. If we cut each other down, we're not going to be here. Like no one cares if we disintegrate from the inside. Like we shouldn't be doing that to each other. And even you're never going to have a positive experience with every single person that you have a relationship with in your life, whether it be business or a friendship or whatever. There are going to be people that you butt heads with or that you have a disagreement with or whatever. So yes, those people will always exist, but I will still speak well of those people. Like I'm not best friends with them, but I wish that everyone does well. And if they're still in the industry, I hope that they continue like contributing to the industry in a way that helps everybody and keeps us all here long term. So I don't know if I know what I do pushes things, and some people don't like that. Maybe it's a threatening thing. I don't know. I don't really think
I
that.
mean, I feel like, I don't know whether I'm addressing the elephant in the room, but do you feel like it's a jealousy thing? Because I definitely do. Not necessarily, by the way, that they're. Because I always feel like when I say this, people think, "Oh, why would I be jealous of you?" It's like, well, no, I'm not saying that you're jealous of me. I feel like maybe the jealousy has come from something that you would have liked that you didn't get yourself. Do you ever
Yeah.
feel that way? Like, do you think maybe people watch what you did and think, "I wish I'd thought of that," or "I wish I'd done that," "I wish I'd been on Australia's Got
Um,
Talent," or "I wish I'd started my own business." Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a natural thing when people don't live out or pursue their own goals that they would like, and whether that's out of fear or whatever, because what someone says about you is a reflection of themselves, really.
Of
So if
course.
they're saying, you know, that was crap, or like sometimes they'll just throw out a comment to just put some negativity towards you because they don't, because it's within themselves, and that's sad, but it is something that they need to address, and it's not really any of our business if they've got those issues themselves. Because the thing is, if you really think about it, the people that you respect and the people that you would actually care about the opinion of would not say things like that about you to
No,
your
of
face or
course
behind your
not.
back. Like, if the type of mentality, the level of, and I'm not saying like above or below, but I'm talking in terms of vibration. If you're sitting on a high vibration, like a positive frequency, you are not going around trying to make other people feel like shit, because it's
No.
not, if you are one of these people that's trying to function on that vibration, that when you put something like that out there, you're attracting it back to yourself. So what you
Right.
want to put out there is like, yeah, maybe I like don't get on with that person the best, but that's okay. And like, if they're doing their thing, they're doing their thing, and that's, you do you. So I just stay in my lane. I don't really know what people say about me. If I don't know. I feel like I have support from the industry, but I'm sure there's people that don't like what I do, and maybe don't like, especially with the TV stuff, like that's another whole thing. But always yes, I have businesses. I have done really well, and I'll continue to do really well, because that, when I put my mind to something, I'm not talking about it. I'm not bullshitting people about it. I'm just doing it. I'm in the zone and I'm doing the work.
I liked when you mentioned about being on a sort of like a higher vibration. Do you believe in like manifestation, like positive mindset
Oh
and
yeah.
all this sort of stuff? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good. I love that you're into that. So, because when you mentioned that, I was like,
Mm.
oh, I didn't realize Kristy was a manifestor. I love that. Do you know
Oh yeah.
what? I have to say, like, manifestation and positive mindset work, it changed my life. Like,
Yep.
I feel so. I mean, it's still something I have to practice. I still go through days where I feel so negative, and I'm like, oh God, we need to snap
Mhm.
out of this. Um, but for sure, I mean, like I went through such a weird period at the beginning of my pole career where I felt like being the call out bitch was going to be the thing to make me well known and like
Mm.
to really get my name out there. And actually, I needed to realize that I didn't really need to do stuff like that. And it's funny because I see people doing it now, and I'm like, oh, like I tried
Yeah.
it, it doesn't work. And you want to kind of be like, don't do that. It's such a bad idea. But I feel like because I've experienced it myself, I feel like the hate tends to come, like when you said about, oh, people comment hate just for the sake of it. I
Mm.
don't think it necessarily, and you said about how it sort of comes from internally within them. I think that maybe for me, I feel like I don't necessarily think it's even an internal hatred. I think it's a desperation to be noticed. RuPaul has actually spoken about this on his podcast, and I loved the way he talked about it. He was like saying how, for many people who really seek that validation from others, it's that, look at me, like, look at what
Mm.
I have to say. My opinion matters too. And I think
Yeah, okay.
social media has 100% contributed to this
Yeah,
culture of feeling like you
definitely.
need to call people out or feeling like you have to comment something negative and be like, oh, this is problematic because of whatever reason. It's just such a
Mm.
shame, really, that we've gotten to that point. Because I mean, how many years have you been doing pole for now?
15.
Yeah, and I don't know whether you remember. I mean, I started, I think, 2008. I think that's 13 years, isn't it? When I
Yeah.
started, it was such a small community, and it couldn't have been more supportive. And we've just come such a
Yeah.
long way from that. It's so different now, and it's good in some ways, and it's bad in others. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing. But I'm so glad to hear that you're into like the whole positive mindset stuff because I love all
I
that.
have to be.
I think
I
in our industry, you really do.
it's not just that. It's like people really don't realize how much I have to put into creating these shows. They come out as this finished product and you're like, "Oh yeah, like pole tricks, like nothing insane on the pole, but like the fusion, the planning of like what's going to be happening, when it's going to be happening because I direct everything that's happening on the screen. Like I'll send pictures of like this is the building that I want right here and it needs to be moved 2 inches to that way, and then when I do
Mhm.
this is what the window needs to do. Like it's fully the amount of work, and I'm facing it at the moment. It's like you get in your own head about it. It's like a mountain in front of you and you're just
Mm.
like, oh, how am I ever going to do this? How am I ever going to create this? So
I think people probably just assume that you get sent this background video and that you just have
yeah.
to patch your routine to it. I have to say, actually, it's intriguing to listen to because I didn't even realize I did just assume that the background videos were pre-made for you and they said, right, you have to do this.
Oh
So
my god.
is that the main bit of negative feedback? Because you just mentioned it. Is that the main bit of negative feedback you get is on the tricks that are in the routine?
um so more so when I did Australia's Got Talent, because now I don't really read the comments. I know that mostly it's all really positive, and America is a different culture to Australia. Australians,
Yeah.
for some reason, like to kind of be like, don't be too good, like don't be too, whereas Americans like, yeah, you go get your dream, like yeah, you go girl. There's like more of
I
a, it's different and it's really
agree.
nice.
It is so
Not
nice.
that Australians obviously like liked my act enough that I won, which is incredible. I just mean the negative comments that there were, I really had to do a lot of mental preparation for, like, you're looking at Australia's Got Talent, which I believe the grand final episode had 1 million viewers.
Wow.
America's Got Talent every week on the auditions, 9 million viewers. Plus, that's not including
Whoa.
social media. Yeah. So I was like, whatever I experienced on Australia's Got Talent, it's going to be way amplified. I need to be ready. Of course, people, like, there's always the same comments. So you'll have, to be fair, they did cut out quite a bit of my poll work because they wanted to get to like the things that they wanted to show. Whereas for Australia's Got Talent, they showed the entire audition piece. For America, they kind of
Uh-huh.
like chopped bits, and I was like, well, this is not exactly what I made, but okay. So yeah, you'll have people going like, oh, do more poll work. But the thing is, I can't get poll in front of this mainstream audience just by doing poll because they don't care.
Right.
They don't care
They
about the
don't
trick.
care. No.
So I
And do
have
you know
to
what? That's
find
the
this
funny
like,
thing as well.
yeah.
You know, when people say things like, oh, like that there's not enough tricks or the tricks aren't big enough or, it's like, well,
Mm,
actually for muggles, like people who don't do pole,
yeah.
it's that whole thing of like, listen, they won't appreciate it. If you did a twisted grip deadlift, a fonji, they don't know how hard that is. But what
Yeah.
they do love is simple things like
A
drops, a
knee
sad
hold.
girl drop, and
Yeah.
yeah, knee hold, and like just the walking. You know, when you're in the bracket grip and you're doing your walks
Yeah.
with the feet,
So
and
simple.
it looks like you're walking with the background. It's simple, but to the eye, it's very sort of like, whoa, okay, that looks cool. It looks like she's walking in the air. And obviously it's that whole thing of like, well, for us, that's very, very easy. But
But do
this
you
is the
know
thing is
what?
people realize you're not making these performances for pole dancers. You're making it
No.
for the general public. And people don't get that.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like there's only ever really one or two of those comments out of the thousands that there are talking about the tricks in
Mm-hmm.
the routine. But I just remembered it from the last time because I was like, oh, I feel like I'm doing tricks, but maybe I'm not doing enough tricks. And then I had to keep telling myself this is not a pole competition. This is not a pole
Yeah.
competition. But I was going to say, do you remember when you started? we didn't have social media like we have now. So people had to work on simple tricks and find ways to make them appealing. Like sometimes you'll watch, I judge so many pole competitions, and sometimes honestly it's boring watching these amazing tricks, but it's just tricks. Like
Yeah.
be I want to be taken somewhere. And that's the
Right.
part of it that I love. Like, and I'm sort of at an age, I'm at an age where I don't enjoy, like, I used to train dynamic stuff and flips all the time, and like that was all good, but a, you don't have to do that. This is a conversation we always get back to. You don't have to do that to be a great pole dancer. Like, yes, you can
No.
thrash your body and do those tricks, but how long are people going to watch you for? Because
Right.
I can guarantee if you're telling them a story, they're going to watch you for longer. They're going to watch you the whole
I
time.
think the difference that we had is that because, like you said, we're still in our infancy really as an industry. And,
Mm,
when these all new tricks came out, people did want to see them. So at the time, people
mm,
did want to see all the tricks. But now we're in a point where I think people are realizing that, okay, well, I've seen that trick 1,000 times.
yeah.
Now people want to see what can you do to make that trick a little bit different? How can you transition in and out of it? How can you make it more interesting? And I find that, when you watch people like Yvonne Smink, I always use Yvonne as an example, but the way
Hmm.
Yvonne moves is so unique and so different. It
Yeah.
makes you want to watch her more. And she
Yes.
sometimes doesn't even do anything like big, big, crazy tricks. She's doing loads of intricate, still very hard stuff, but small movements that look so simple. And you're like,
Mm,
wow, that looks so amazing. So I find that really, really sort of like fun to watch. And I think that's the difference is that I enjoy that, but I'm a pole dancer. Whereas obviously for someone watching America's Got Talent, someone's watching Australia's Got Talent, they just want to see the cool, crowd pleaser tricks, don't they? And it goes really well with the background video, of course. So while we're on the America's Got Talent and Australia's Got Talent topic, obviously at the
mhm.
moment, you have done the Americas show and you've done it's like the preliminaries, is it?
Yeah, so I've done the audition round and I got 4 yeses from the judges. So
Nice.
now the next round will be the judge cuts. So they say yes to more people than they can take through to the live rounds. So
Okay.
what they do is like lay everyone out on a table and have a discussion or a debate or whatever and decide who's going to go through to the live. So that's what the next thing will be.
Right.
And then
Okay.
it'll, yeah.
And how long have you got to wait for that?
Um Like, I think that's airing in, like, 2 weeks or something. So,
Okay. Nice.
yeah.
And how do you manage life with? Because obviously you have a partner. You have kids as
Mhm.
well, right?
Yeah, I have 3 kids.
3 kids. Oh my God. When you paused then, I was like, wait, does she have kids? So you got 3 kids,
Yeah.
you have a partner, you have studios, you have Enviroco, and you're traveling to America. Like,
Mm.
I need to write this down probably.
Well, when you say
Because I
it
need to
like
know
that.
how do you manage your time? Because I need tips. So I'm just going to write whatever you say down. Because how do you manage it? Like, how?
People always ask me that. It's, like, the number 1 question that I get asked. Um, I guess with the businesses, I'm the ideas person. I love creating and doing everything as I want it to be. Like for Enviroco, I made sure that everything was packaged and sent exactly, like I did it all myself at the beginning because I wanted to
Hmm.
make sure it was sent exactly how I wanted the receiver to experience receiving it, right? So I did that and same with Physipole. I did everything at the beginning, and then slowly over time, I bring in people to learn what I'm doing. So it's never like I come up with an idea and then just pass it off. I always make sure
Right.
that I have a really, really, really good understanding. Like I'm still packing the Polescription boxes and the Enviroco, like I have someone who now will like box up the 24 packs and 48 packs. So if a studio orders, I just grab the box and put the label on it. So it is getting easier.
Hmm.
But yeah, that side of it's not not taking up a huge amount of time. I
Okay.
need to work out what I'm doing with pole scription, because at the moment I'm like trying to make sure everything's perfect, doing it all myself. I'm like, but yeah, I just try to be present with the kids when I'm with them, so that like I just try to be present. And people always like, I am really busy, but I'm not. I don't know. I make time for the things that I need to do each day. I guess if you worked out how long, well, not you, but like if a person worked out how long they spend on social media each day, that's probably where I get all my time, because I don't scroll.
Right. Okay.
So
That's
if I'm
good.
not scrolling, I've got time for all these other things. Like when I walk, I listen to either my audiobook or my podcast. Either one will always be focused on mental growth, like what we were talking about before, mental mindset or vibration or paradigm or whatever. I'm always, when I walk, I either do that, or if I'm in creation phase of a show, I'll be listening to my song to try to figure out like where to place things, so that when I go into the studio, my time is like better spent, because if I'm walking, I'm also warming up my body because it's freezing here. And so then when I get in the studio, I can stretch pretty much straight away and get on the pole. And just, when you go in the studio, you can kind of stuff around and you're just like, what am I going to do? Like, you got
Yeah.
these save
Yeah.
videos and you got to warm up again. I'm really like, okay, so
You're
I need to do
productive.
this,
I'm the
and I need to
same.
do this, because I never have the
Yeah.
time. Like, I've always only got usually 2 hours if I'm lucky before I got to do school pickup. And once I pick up the kids, it's like chaos. But I'm only teaching like one class a week at the moment, because I
Okay.
need to, when I'm working on a show, it's an obsession. It's all I can think about.
Yeah,
It's
I guess it
all I
has
can
to
think
be
about.
though, right? I guess because you want it to be the best that it can be. So I guess, especially if it's going on to something where you've got like 9 million people viewing it, do you know what I mean?
I
So it's
know.
like you want it to be perfect, right? So
Mm.
okay, and do you do like any practice of sort of like making sure that you use your time wisely? Like, do you do any sort of planning of your day, or do you wake up super early and say, right, this hour is going to be admin for BusyPole, this hour is going to be Enviroco time, this is going to be time with my kids? This, do you plan it like that, or is it just
Um,
quite naturally come to you?
yeah, it's probably more natural at this stage. And with kids, like,
Okay,
they're young, and my youngest is autistic, so he has appointments throughout the week of like, he'll have speech therapy and occupational therapist and stuff like that. So I need to make sure I'm in those appointments so I can learn what I need to do to help him with like all of that. So if it depends on the day, like usually on a Monday, I'll try to get the kids off to school and get a walk in before the franchise meeting at 10 a.m. or 10:15. So the walk is an hour. So I've done the mental stuff, and even from the beginning of I guess I'm kind of in a routine, because from the second that I wake up, I'll do my gratitude. Like,
yeah,
I try to do a couple while I'm still laying in bed. Sometimes I'll start to fall back asleep and I'm like, "Oh, no, I need to get up."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, then I'll hop in the shower, and the last 1 minute of my showers are full cold, full cold.
Oh
It's
God.
very,
Oh,
very cold this
one
time.
whole minute.
1 whole minute, and it's 1 degree outside Celsius, so
Oh,
very cold. Um,
oh God.
I know, but it's really good for you. You should do it. My
So
partner is like,
why is it good?
"You're
Is it good for your
crazy."
circulation?
Oh, no, it's not just that. It's like your immune system and all of these other things. It's also one of the only ways to burn brown fat. Um, I'd have to look into like,
I have brown fat. What other colors of
yeah,
fat do I have?
well, I guess white and brown. Yeah, I'll send you some info on it,
Wow.
but like,
Oh my God,
it's it.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. Have you listened to the book Lifespan?
No.
It's a book about not aging, basically. But he
Okay.
talks about like in different cultures, they have different practices and things that like keep you on a cellular level more agile and healthier for a longer period of time. So this was one of the things, like, I kind of already knew about it. Like, Tony Robbins would be like, yeah, cold shower, whatever. But like, when I listened to this book, I was like, oh, this is scientifically like a real thing and I need to do it. So I started off with just 10 seconds and then built up to, I just do a full minute now and it flicks to full cold. In the last few months, so since it's gone into winter, I'm like, whew, I have to like breathe through it now. It's so cold. But yeah, I do that. And then just sort of get into the day. Yeah. So walk, franchise meeting. And luckily, like, if the kids are at school, it does give me a bit of time during the day to like get the work and training done. So I do have a bit of time, and I've set the businesses up in a way where I'm not working all day every day on them, which is really amazing. Mm.
Do you have, I don't ever know how to word this, so when I wrote this question down, forgive me for the way it's worded, do you have what I call an exit strategy from pole? And the reason I say this is because obviously you are a businesswoman, you have your businesses, they're very much tied into the pole industry. Do you ever think, because I do a lot, so I'm always really intrigued to know if anyone else who has their own businesses does, do you ever think about what your exit strategy from the pole industry one day might be? Like, do you plan to always be in the pole industry? Because for me personally, I love the pole industry, but I also realize that my body can't do this for the rest of my life. So I'm a bit like, and I don't know that I could make enough money from it without the physical side, to be able to live a life that I
Right.
want to live. So lots of me, and also because I feel like I'd love to try a new venture, something that isn't pole, because I feel like
Mm.
I've done pole, and I feel like business-wise, I like my businesses that I have within the pole industry, but I would love to try my hand at something that is not pole related, just to see how it went, just because I love running businesses. So
Mm.
do you have any exit strategy from pole, or do you plan to be here until you're old and grey and in your wheelchair?
Well, for me, I kind of transitioned a while ago from having to physically be doing anything really, um, in terms of like teaching and that sort of thing, which is really cool. And I also got to a point where um, I had everything kind of set so that I didn't really have to work,
Mm,
which that happened 3 years ago. And I was like, cool. Okay. So basically, like, not retired, but I was at a point where I didn't have to be working every day like that. And
right.
then I realized, when you get to that stage and you can choose, I was like, what do I actually really want to do? And then I was like, I really want to do pole. Like, I love it. And that's why the businesses now, like I was saying before, I don't need to start them. I love what I'm doing. And the thing for me is I get fulfilled, like, physically. I love how, the fulfillment that you have physically from it keeps your body really fit and you feel good, you feel strong. But I also get like the creative fulfillment, not just in making the performances and like challenging myself in a way that I've never had in my life. Like, the pressure at the moment is, I've never had anything like it. And then to be able to grow from that. And then also the fulfillment on the business side of things. So for me, it ticks a lot of boxes. And when I had the choice to not do it, I realized that it is what I want to do. And,
Mm,
but I can just cherry pick, I'm doing America's Got Talent and did Australia's Got Talent for the creative exploration. It's not to be famous, or like, I don't need to do that. If anything, I don't like it. I don't enjoy being out. Not that this happens often, but like just being out with my kids and someone will notice me or like come up to me. That it's fine. Like, I'm obviously like friendly and everything, but I if really famous people, like, I wouldn't be able to do that.
mm.
I like just being
Yeah,
me, having my really basic life.
I feel like, yeah, I think though when famous people do have a life like that, I think when you hear about famous people who get really upset that they're being chased around by the paparazzi and stuff, and I'm like,
Mm,
did you not consider this before you started this career?
mm,
Because
yeah.
if I was going to go down that route, I feel like I'd be really cool about it, because I'd just be like, well, I signed up for this life, so actually I need
Yeah.
to just take it and deal with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so in terms of the business and stuff, do you have any upcoming like projects that you can give us an inside scoop on, or new business ideas that are coming up?
Yeah, I do actually. So, the smooth shorts, the pole period shorts.
Yeah. And
I've
just for anyone
developed.
listening, by the way, I'm just going to quickly say, for anyone listening, smooth shorts, before you hear that and you're like, what are you talking about? So if you haven't already, please do go and check out Kristy's page with all of her businesses. Check out the Enviroco. But smooth shorts are, and I'm just going to clarify here, are for
Mhm.
women who are on their period to be able to wear these pole shorts, so they've got full coverage. They don't have
Yep.
to worry about leaking or anything like that. Can I just ask, actually, when they wear those, do they wear underwear as well, or do they just wear that?
No, it's just that there's like 4 layers in them. So
Okay.
essentially, if you were wearing underwear, yeah, it'd be the same. But you can wear them as just like a backup, or you can use them instead of like a tampon or cup or whatever. And a lot of the messages from making that product, I don't think I've ever gotten so many emotional messages from people being like, you don't understand. You've changed my life. Like, I can pole now because of my endometriosis. I can't use like tampons or whatever. So I never used to go into class because of this on my period. So now I can do it, and it's amazing. And that was
That's
cool.
so
That was
good.
unexpected. Um,
Yeah, I bet that's so nice.
so I've got leggings, smooth leggings
Nice.
coming. So you can, yeah, if you want to be in leggings, whether you're, because it's for leakage as well. So I mean, postpartum or whatever. And then I've also got, oh, this is the first time. Like, no one knows about this. I'm really
Oh, I
excited
feel
about
like
it.
I'm getting an exclusive.
You
Come on, tell
are.
me.
You are. Okay, so it's pole maternity shorts. So it's got
Nice.
the technology of the smooth shorts in the bottom, just in case of leakage, but the top band goes higher and it's like a ribbing, so it expands. It's really cool.
Right. Do you know what's so
Yeah.
funny? I literally just saw a conversation online about this the other day, because
Oh,
someone
really?
was like, oh, what do people wear? Like, does anyone have any high waisted, like for pregnancy shorts or something? And then one
Mm,
girl was like, oh, like, just wear like low rise shorts so that it always stays under the bum. But I don't think the girl wanted that. And
mm.
so, yeah, definitely you found a gap in the market there. That's so funny. I literally just saw that the other day as well.
That's
So,
so
oh,
funny.
that's so
Well,
cool. And are we expecting this to launch? When can we expect?
well, I have them. I just haven't like placed the bigger order yet. Um, it's a bit tricky. I don't know how many to order. So I guess I'll just put it out there and see, and then I'll have the stock a few weeks later. So it's ready to go now. I've got like pictures and videos and stuff. I just haven't had time in the last week because of all the AGT stuff going out. And I was like, I can't touch my phone at the moment because there's too many notifications on it.
So do
Yeah.
you do all of that stuff yourself? Do you not have anyone who works for you who can be like, right, I want you to launch this product and do all this and blah blah
Mm.
blah?
That'd be nice. Um, no, not at the moment, but I do have a girl that's just started to help me with like packing Enviro orders. So this is only in the last 2 weeks. It's the first time I've
Okay,
had help. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing because
nice.
we send quite big orders over to Pole Junkie where you guys are, and
Yeah, of course.
getting their orders, like especially with the clothing and stuff, all the sizes and I was like, whoa, this is I'm very grateful for the order, but it's a lot of work to like get them together, which is super cool. But now I've got a little bit of help, and she'll eventually help me a bit with the social media as well. So yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I mean, that's why I've actually started doing this podcast. I've just had someone start working with me to help me just kind of with the admin side. Like, there's so much of what we do.
mm,
Like, I mean, as well, I've got so many social media pages. We've got my page, Polo's page, my studio
yeah,
page. So it's like trying to manage that. I mean, Polo's in itself takes so much admin time. And obviously,
yeah,
it's just I want to make sure obviously it's always on point and always posting, but there was times where I would go days without posting because I just didn't have any content, or I was having to repost stuff. I was like, right, I need to get someone in. And now I feel like projects like this I wanted to start are going to be possible. So yeah, so it's
That's
super
so
exciting.
good.
Do you think that having a staff member on board will help you to be able to grow your businesses?
Yeah, probably not yet because well, I mean, I guess it will in like a flow on effect because the growth ideas will come from me. And then if I've got someone who can action them, they can happen. But at the moment, I guess my only focus really is America's Got Talent, and that creation process is super like draining, and then the training process of it is also hard. So that's the focus at the moment, and I guess I'm hoping that like there's a flow on effect from bringing attention to what I'm doing, then hopefully pollers will kind of see the other stuff that I'm doing. So maybe it's kind of a form of marketing in itself, maybe
Yeah.
not, but it's not the primary reason I'm doing it, but it would be a nice reaction from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny actually because it was really intriguing when you said to me that you do the Americans Got Talent and Australia's Got Talent because you want to have that creative sort of challenge.
Mm.
Because if I'm being honest, I thought it was partly that, but I also assumed that maybe there was a business aspect involved where you thought, obviously, doing things like this. Because I know, well, if you don't do it for your own business, you definitely do it for other people's businesses. Because obviously, people are going to see that audition and they might then think, oh, I'm going to start doing pole. So then obviously people are going to studios because they've seen you doing that. Is there any
Mm.
aspect of you that thinks, do you know what, this will actually be great promotion for my brand and for my businesses? Is there any aspect of that that goes into it?
Oh yeah, it's but it's not a part of the reason for doing it. It's like a
It's not the
nice
primary
bonus.
focus kind of thing.
Same as me becoming a bit of a bridge to the Muggles. It's a nice bonus, but it's not why I'm doing it. So the fact that
Right.
like people message me and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm from I don't know, whatever town in the US. Like, I'm going to go start pole dancing now." I'm like, "Awesome. That's so good." Then people
Yeah.
saying like, "I never knew pole could be like that." They just sometimes I think people don't realize that there's more than one style.
So what's coming up for you? So just to like wrap up before we finish, I just want to know what's coming up for you, what's going to be happening for you for the rest of this year? Have you got anything more exciting planned? Obviously, hopefully America's Got Talent final will be on that list. But anything
Hopefully.
else?
Well, yeah, if I am going through those rounds, that's pretty much going to take me through the year. Um,
That'll be your whole year.
yeah, pretty much. It pretty much will be at least until I don't know October or something. But it's my bigger goal at the moment is to create a full length Vegas show. So not just me, polars, aerialists, and dancers, all with the interaction of the LED wall behind and an LED floor. And it's an interactive, immersive experience for the audience. So if they see wind on the screen, they'll feel it in the audience. And the floor beneath their feet will be LED as well. So there'll be certain parts where the image will run like under their feet and they'll feel like they're in the show. So bringing what you're seeing me do just myself, bringing that to life on a big stage and putting pole as not like not a side act, but like as a little feature act, but becoming the main attraction.
Right.
Mm.
So the show wouldn't just be pole dancing. It would be kind of like a full kind of storytelling
Yeah.
show with a bit of pole in it.
No, not a bit of pole. Like
Right.
pole would be pole, aerials, and dance would all be kind of interwoven with the interactive stuff.
I
So what I'm
see.
saying is the
I see.
current shows that are running feature pole as like a little 5-minute slot where you've got a feature pole performer and that's it. But my vision for
Right.
it is much bigger.
That's so cool.
Mm.
And it's so cool as well that the guy that you've chosen to be in that show is me. Thank you so much for offering me
Yeah, I can
that.
let you know.
I want to come to Vegas, bitch.
Okay.
Take me with you.
Well, that's the
Yeah, oh my
great
God, that
thing
sounds
is
so
that
cool.
hopefully if it goes well and it's something that gets quite a long contract, like over 10 years or something, I don't plan on put that out there. I'm not going to be performing in a show like that for a long time. But
Why not? Why not?
Because I don't want to. I want to create them, and I don't want to miss my kids' childhoods. Like we've talked about it. We'd relocate for, I don't know, half a year or something, or whatever it is, and get it all up and get it started and all of that. But what a cool thing to leave behind for like ongoing, full-time, amazing performance work for pole dancers, like as an actual job, not just, oh, I hope I get a gig on the weekend. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like, you know what I mean? Like to create something that I just hope, I hope the flow
so it'll
on
be
effect.
like a Cirque du Soleil, I guess, but it'll be Cirque du Soleil with kind of like the whole immersive experience with the background and all that sort of thing. That would be so cool. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
I think as well, there's definitely a space for that. Again, like, what a great idea. You're like full of great ideas. I swear to God. Where do you get all these good ideas from? Do they just literally come to you in the day and you're like, oh, I'm going to write that down?
Well, yeah, I carry a notebook around with me all the time. It's funny that you're asking me that at the moment because I'm literally in the part of the creation where I'm like, it's all shit. Nothing is working.
Yeah. Like, oh, I know. But you have to go through that bit, right? And then eventually it'll all start to piece together.
Better. But
what I do want to ask though is, so since you carry a notebook around with you, I just wanted to let you know, did you know that iPhones, they have a notes section?
No, it's not the same. Not the same, because when you put a pencil on paper or a pen on paper and you physically draw the thing in your head, there's a connection that you get from doing that you don't get from doing it on your phone, even if you use your finger on the phone. Because you physically created something that wasn't there before. So it's like the first step in creation. If I don't have anything else, I'll write it in my phone, but that's my last resort. I always, like, I have 2 notebooks that I carry with me.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because not about that, but I had been told that with my manifestation diary, which actually I've been really bad on. I bought one and it wasn't as good as my one that I had before, so I'm going to order the one that I had before, I think.
Yeah, okay.
And it used to just be, 3 things that you are grateful for every day. And it said in that you have to write it down. You can't do it on your phone or anything. You have to write it physically down because it has a better connection to your brain with being grateful for what you've written down. So I guess it's a similar sort of thing. So I love that. Well, it's been amazing chatting to you. I feel like I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, I know.
But congratulations on everything you're doing. I'm just, I'm sure I speak not only on behalf of myself, but all the other studios on the work that you're doing, because it definitely helps us. I know that I must have had loads of students who have seen your performances and come to the studio. So thank you for everything you're doing, and best of luck with all of your business ventures. And hopefully we can have another chat again sometime soon.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really amazing and very easy to just chat to you, and feel like we could keep probably chatting for hours.
Yeah, we could just chat for ages. Well, thank you so much, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Bye. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop me a message or a DM and let me know if you enjoyed the episode, and let me know also who you would love to have next on the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, see you soon.
That was all the tea that you can get this week. Join me next time right here. It's the week.